Hey there, and welcome back to Momma Drama and Trauma. I'm your host, Jenny Kimmel, and this episode is the one I've both dreaded and needed to tell. Because this was the week everything came crashing down. The week that changed my life, my identity, and my marriage forever. This is episode 2, the week after the affair, how I survived the shock, shame, and silence. So let's begin. The moment of discovery. It was a quiet morning, just me, my coffee, and the news. The kind of morning where nothing feels out of the ordinary until everything changes. The night before, my husband had stayed in a hotel near his workplace. Tuesday morning, when he left for work, he took a change of clothes, said he had a long day and would stay closer to the job site overnight. He worked an hour away and often put in 10 to 12-hour days, so I didn't question it. But that evening, he stopped answering my calls, barely responded to my texts. When he finally did, he said he was at a restaurant grabbing food. That was odd. He normally grabs something quick, not food at a sit-down restaurant. Later that night, I felt something in my gut. Something was off. I remember texting him, "You good? Are you still working?" He texted back, "I'm sorry, just got to hotel and got checked in and gonna jump in shower." I texted him back, "Can you please call me when you have a chance?" When he called, I said to him, "Is something going on? I feel like something's off." He said, "There are some things we need to talk about, but I'm really tired right now. We'll talk in the morning." So Wednesday morning, I was sitting on the couch in the living room, the same spot I sat every morning. It was my routine. Grab my cold coffee drink, turn on the news, and just take a moment to breathe before the day began. The boys were upstairs, still sleeping, with a week left before school started. The house felt calm, familiar, safe, and then at exactly 8:37 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message from my husband. We had just gotten back from a family vacation 4 days earlier. We'd taken the kids to Colorado. During that trip, we laughed together and had normal moments. There were no real signs, at least not obvious ones. Looking back now, though, I can see them. So when the message came through, I thought maybe it was something simple about the kids, the day, a good morning, anything. But when I opened it, the air changed. I stared at the screen, and what I read stopped everything. A long text that would forever change my life and shake me to my core. I read it again and again because I couldn't believe it. It was like my eyes saw the words, but my brain couldn't accept them. He was having an affair. I don't remember what I said out loud, but I remember my body's reaction. My hands trembled. My stomach turned. My mind raced, trying to make sense of something that made no sense. I called him immediately, and when he answered, he wouldn't tell me anything. Not who it was, not how he met her, not how long it had been going on. Nothing. I asked him to come home. I begged him, told him we needed to talk face to face, that after 22 years together, we deserved that. But he refused, said he was too busy at work, too busy to come home and face the family he had just shattered. I remember sitting there, phone still in my hand, heart pounding, and thinking, this can't be happening. This has to be a mistake. This can't be real. But it was. I didn't even know what to do with myself. I couldn't sit still, but I couldn't move either. I was frozen, trapped between disbelief and devastation. Eventually, I called my sister. I could barely get the words out. "He had an affair," I whispered. "I don't even know what to do." She was silent for a second. Then came the shock, the disbelief. Just like me, she couldn't wrap her head around it. It felt so out of character for him, for the man we knew. And then came the tears. Not just because he cheated, but because of the lies, the betrayal, the silence, the fact that I had no answers. None. I didn't tell my mom first, which is strange because she's my go-to. I tell her everything, but not that, not yet. It wasn't just about protecting myself. It was about protecting her. Because she loved him like a son. He was the son she never had, and I couldn't bear to be the one to break her heart too. So I sat with it. Sat with the grief, the rage, the confusion, the silence. That afternoon, I had to take Ryan to the doctor. He'd sprained his ankle weeks earlier and had a checkup. I remember walking into that office like a zombie. The receptionist smiled and asked how we were doing. I nodded. I couldn't hear a word the doctor said. I couldn't focus. All I could think about was my husband, what he was doing, who he was with, and how my entire life, our life, had just cracked open. How was I supposed to hold myself together in that office and act normal when nothing was normal anymore? That was the day everything changed. The moment that shattered the picture, I thought we were still painting together. And I had no idea just how much more pain was coming next. The nights that didn't let me sleep. That first night, he came home, not for a real conversation, not for resolution, just home. He slept in our bed next to me. I lay there wide awake, crying, heart pounding, mind racing. I stared at the ceiling, wondering, is this the last time I'll ever lay next to him? On the outside, we looked like a normal couple that night, just two parents winding down. But inside, I was unraveling. Thursday night was the same. He was there, but he wasn't really. There was distance, silence. I couldn't sleep again. And in those early hours, somewhere around 3 or 4 a.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I went in to use the bathroom. I saw his watch sitting on the counter charging. I went back to bed, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I went back into the bathroom and grabbed his watch. I knew there might be something on it. The messages were there, but the name wasn't a woman's. It was a man's name, someone from the shop, a disguise. Tom was the name, a disguise for the woman who had shattered my heart and my family. And as I scrolled, the truth screamed at me. They were making plans to move into our camper, to live there together for 6 months. Like a twisted dream of a life that didn't include me. I woke him up right then and there. I needed answers. That's when he looked me in the eye and said words I'll never forget. "I think I want to try something new." What does that even mean? New? Was our life not enough? Was I not enough? Those words didn't just sting. They broke something in me, something I wasn't sure could be put back together. The kids and the confusion. The day I found out, the boys knew something was off. They're smart. Even when I tried to keep things normal, they felt it. That night, when my husband got home from work, he gathered the boys and started talking to them. Didn't tell me. I just happened to notice they were all gathered and talking, and I asked what they were talking about. He told me he was telling them, and I said, well, it's pretty important for me to be a part of this conversation too. How was he going to explain the storm that was unraveling our lives to our 3 boys? So I stood there beside him while he told our sons he'd been having an affair. He downplayed it, said it wasn't serious, said it wasn't going to go anywhere. Maybe he believed that, maybe he didn't. But the boys, they were shocked, confused, hurt. They looked up to him, and in an instant, everything they believed about their dad shattered. This changed things, changed the way they looked at us, changed the way they looked at him, and changed the way they looked at me. It was one of the many moments that week where I felt like I was watching our life from outside my own body. They asked questions. Are you and Dad getting divorced? Is everything going to be okay? And what do you say to that when you don't even know the answer yourself? I remember telling them at one point that first week, I'm not giving up on your dad. I'm going to fight for our family. Because at that point, I still had hope. I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd come to his senses. Maybe he'd choose us. We even had snow cones as a family one night, watched movies together, laughed with the kids, but it felt surreal. How could we act like a normal family when everything beneath the surface was breaking? That Friday, he didn't come home. He went out to an event he often attended. She was there with him, and they spent the night in a hotel together. Saturday, he came back. Another night under our roof, more mixed signals, more false hope. The kids went to his mom's that night, and we were alone. I'll save the rest of that night for another episode. But I'll say this. My heart wanted to believe he was still mine. And that night, he made me believe I was right. But the next morning, the signs said otherwise. Here's the thing no one tells you. When your world falls apart, you don't get to stop being a mom. I still had to cook meals, still had to manage the chaos of 3 teenage boys, still had to smile when my boys needed reassurance. But inside, I was dying. One of the hardest moments, talking to them that week, not being able to answer their questions because I didn't know the answers myself. It was so hard not to break down while trying to stay strong for them. They asked why Dad wasn't home, what was going on. I wanted to protect them, but I also wanted to be honest. My husband and I still talked every day that week. There was tension, confusion, pain, but I tried my best to keep it from the kids. I was still organizing their schedules, still getting them ready for the start of school, still putting the boys first, even when I was shattered. That's how deep the mom instinct runs. Even through heartbreak, I kept showing up. The spiral of surveillance. I became obsessed. I checked his location nonstop. We'd always shared it, but I never cared before, never felt the need. Now, I was glued to it. I checked his phone records daily. Every number, every call, every minute. I wanted to know everything. Where was he? Who was he calling? Was he with her? I logged into his social media accounts. I had the passwords. It wasn't about spying. It was about control because I had none. And this gave me a sliver of it. I checked credit card statements, gas purchases, restaurants. Was he spending our money on her? It ate away at me. And yet I couldn't stop. I hated it. And I needed it. That need to know became a full-time obsession. Not just that first week, but for months. It was unhealthy. It was exhausting, but it was real. My relationship with myself. That week, I realized something terrifying. I didn't recognize myself anymore. I was the girl who always handled things, ran a business, raised 3 boys, held a 22-year marriage together through thick and thin. And now I was trying to figure out how to survive infidelity. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror, not because of shame, but because of confusion. Who was I now? What did I even believe in anymore? I sent him this message. At some point, we need to speak about boundaries. I really don't want you in the house, much less the bedroom. I had to draw lines to protect myself. He replied, I'm sorry. I should have asked. I just needed to grab something. But the truth is, that wasn't enough. You don't get to break someone's heart and still walk in like you own the place. I had to reclaim my space, my identity, my boundaries, because that's what healing looks like. I told him, you've already made your choice twice, and it wasn't me. That wasn't said in anger. It was said in truth and hurt, because part of loving yourself is knowing when someone else no longer does. What got me through, even just hour by hour? That first week, I didn't eat. I physically couldn't. I didn't sleep. I couldn't think straight. I was in denial, still saying things like, we're not divorced yet, we'll work through this. But deep down, I knew it felt like grief, but worse, because he was still here, still sleeping in my house, still texting me like nothing happened. I cried behind closed doors and smiled in front of the kids. I lost my appetite completely. My body just shut down. I probably lost 20 pounds over the next couple of months. It wasn't intentional, it was heartbreak. I didn't eat for almost a month. And when I finally did, it was something small. A sweet red pepper from my sister's garden with a little bit of dressing. That moment was significant because it meant I was trying to nourish myself again, trying to exist again. Sleep, that was gone too. Even when he was lying next to me, I couldn't rest. It wasn't just my heart that broke. It was my body, too. My system didn't feel safe, didn't feel whole, but I kept going. I leaned on my mom and sister, and unfortunately, my kids a little bit too. That first week was about survival, 1 hour at a time, one deep breath at a time. I clung to the small routines. I kept showing up for my kids, even when I didn't know how I was still standing. That week cracked everything wide open, but I was still here, still breathing, still trying to figure out what the hell came next. And somehow that had to be enough. What saved me? What saved me that first week? Honestly, tiny moments. My kids, my mom, my sister, their calls, their texts, their hugs, not Google, not podcasts, not even self-help books, just people, my people holding me up when I couldn't hold myself. Every hour I didn't cry was a win. Every moment I remembered to breathe was a step forward. By the end of that week, I didn't know where my life was headed, but I knew I was going to survive. Even if I wasn't quite sure how yet, it was the beginning of a whole new life. So if you're listening right now and you're in your first week, let me say this. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not alone. This isn't the end. This is the beginning of boundaries, of rebuilding, of rediscovering the real you. Until next time, take care of you. You are strong, you are worthy, and your story matters.